6 months in yarn braids. Who does that? Me, y'all, and it's possible. My hair's not breaking off. There are so many myths about long-term protective styling, and today I'm gonna be breaking it all down and showing you exactly how I keep my hair healthy in braids for half a year. Half a year, y'all. Hey y'all, if you're new here, I'm Amika Colvin. I'm an entrepreneur, a mentor, a founder of Strands of Faith, and my mission is to help you nourish, restore, and refresh your strands faithfully, okay? In today's video, we're gonna be breaking down my exact routine for keeping my yarn braids in for 6 months. I'm gonna be debunking some common myths that are floating around out there about long-term protective styling, and I'm going to be giving you some professional tips to help your hair thrive in braids without getting any damage. But first, let's talk about some myths. The number one myth that I hear when it comes to long-term protective styling is that keeping braids in for too long is gonna cause breakage, right? This has some truth to it, but the reality is that breakage only happens when your braids are either too tight, they're too heavy in proportion to your hair, or they're not maintained properly. Not simply just because they're worn for a long time. So just make sure that when you're getting braids in, the amount of yarn or synthetic hair or whatever hair you use is natural. It matches your natural strand's density to help prevent tension, okay? Be mindful of that, because that's one thing that's in your control, and that you can, make sure that you're just following a healthy hair protocol so that you don't have to be a victim to hair loss due to inadequate hair practices. Now, this next myth gonna have y'all up in arms, okay? So don't come at my head. Don't come at my head. The next myth is that you have to wash your hair every 2 to 4 weeks in braids, or your hair is going to be unhealthy and it's going to break off, right? Unpopular opinion, I don't think you need to wash your hair in braids long term. I don't think it's necessary. Not all hair types require frequent washing when it comes to their hair, because washing your hair too often in braids can cause more frizz, and that manipulation, especially for finer strands, can be in a way damaging. And so you want to just be very mindful when you're washing your hair in braids. Have I washed my hair in braids before? Absolutely. If it's to the point to where my hair, I know when it's time to wash my hair, right? And just all honesty, y'all, I said, don't judge me, don't judge me. If you're gonna judge me in your head, right? Don't say it out loud. Don't say it out loud. But I have not washed these yarn braids in the 4 months that I've had them. The way that I maintain, I'll show you my routine later, but I have not washed them, and my hair is still healthy. It's still thriving. My hair does not have any odor or smell. I know sometimes people think that. I think the reason why I can get away with it is because I don't have any scalp conditions. Like some people who have dandruff or psoriasis or any type of scalp condition, it'll be harder for them to go such a long time without, some type of treatment to their hair, washing their hair, or even a more elevated maintenance. But since I don't have those issues, I'm able to get away without washing my hair. And then the reason why I don't wash my hair, I think this is equally as important. When you're in protective styles, the whole purpose is for it to be protective, right? And so with the nature of my hair, and I'll show you, I have very, very, very fine strands, so fine. If you look at it, like you're looking at it right now. Look, I just saw one pop. Oh, dang, there go another one, just snap. Yeah. That's just how fine my strands are, that if you look at them, they're gonna snap, they're gonna pop. And so for me, and for a lot of people with fine strands, washing your hair while it's in braids, you have to be very, very careful, because your hair can actually mat together, it can lock, and it's no fault of your own. It's just the nature of kinky, curly, coily strands that are fine. Like it's when your hair is thicker, it's easier to kind of pull it apart if it does get tangled. But when it's fine, generally when it's fine and it gets stuck together, then it's almost impossible to pull it apart, depending on how much of a mat it is. And so I don't wash my hair, but if I do wash my hair, I do have a process and a procedure to help minimize that. And so that is why, y'all, I just avoid it altogether. That's why I have not washed my hair these 4 months. And this is something that has been working for me for years, y'all. Okay, when I say years, I'm not saying I'm an OG, but I'm saying I'm an OG when it comes to my healthy hair routine and what works for me. I know this is not going to work for everybody. I'm not suggesting this is a one size fit all. Like I said, we all have different hair densities, we have different porosities, we have different conditions, we have so many different things. But I just wanted to add this in as a myth that it's not necessary, totally necessary, that you have to wash your hair. And then in some cases it can actually be beneficial if you don't, or if you're more careful about it. And so that's why I don't wash my hair. And so another thing too, when you wash your hair, when you do wash your hair with yarn braids, you have to be very, very mindful to let them completely dry. I would suggest sitting under a hooded dryer or something until it's completely dry, because at the end of the day, yarn is like a fabric. And so it's just like, you know, you putting on a clothes, and you put on wet clothes. You know how your clothes sit in a dryer for a while, in a washer for a while before you put it in a dryer. What happens? It can mildew. It starts to smell sour and all of that. So you don't want to risk that with your hair. You don't want to risk washing your hair and then not letting it completely dry, because then you can just be breeding a whole nother issue there. So if you do wash your hair, just be very mindful, be careful, take your time with it, go, you know, section by section, and you know, just take your time with it. I wouldn't drench your head and your scalp. Just be very careful with it, and just make sure that your strands are fully dried. And then the third myth is that yarn dries out your hair. Okay, I've heard this many times, and I think that just comes from people not, you know, understanding that there's a difference between the different types of yarn. And so it's gonna depend on how you prep your hair, how you maintain your hair. Are you properly moisturizing and sealing before you install your hair? But the different types of yarn makes a difference. There's yarn, there's cotton yarn, there's wool yarn, and there's acrylic yarn. Cotton yarn and wool yarn are no-nos. Do not use those, because we all know what cotton does to your hair. Cotton is very drying, it's very absorbent, so it's going to absorb any moisture that you have in your strands, and that's what causes breakage and brittleness and things like that. And the same with wool. But acrylic yarn, this is why I love acrylic yarn. Acrylic yarn is made of a certain kind of like polymer type of like fiber, to where it's not cotton, so it's less absorbent. And so usually when you do moisturize your hair, if you do a good job with that, it's not going to script that moisture. And so for me, my combination, I'll talk about it later, but when I use that combination, my hair stays moisturized when I take my hair out. So I took the edges out. This is a piece of the front of my hair that I'm gonna redo. And you see, oh, can you see? Yeah. And so my hair hasn't experienced any breakage, and is healthy. So it's all about proper maintenance and making sure that your hair is thoroughly moisturized. So y'all, I'm keeping my yarn braids in for 6 months. I'm already on month 4. Okay, so far I've been redoing my edges every 2 months. I've already did them one time 2 months ago. Now, since I'm in month 4, I have to do the edges again now, and then by the time it's time in May, it's going to be 6 months when it's time to take them out. But this is what my hair looks like. I gotta take this piece down, but this is how I do. So I just take down the perimeter. So what you're seeing here is the perimeter of the yarn braids that I've already taken down. I'm just going to re-moisturize them and to reinstall them. So yeah, I love yarn braids. I absolutely love them. You always hear me talk about them. Low maintenance, it doesn't take much upkeep, and it's easy on your hair. Like, it doesn't cause breakage or anything, as long as you're like properly moisturizing them and, you know, the maintenance and keeping up, then it's really good. So these are my edges. Like I said, I have to take this one down right here. But in the next part of the video, I'm going to show y'all how I install. I'm gonna go ahead and put some in. I'll leave a little piece so that y'all can see how I install these. If you want to see how I install Olivia's twist, then check out the video here. I'll link it above and you can check that out. But I'm gonna come back and show you how I install my yarn braids. The process is similar, it's slightly different, but overall it's the same. Anyway,
I'll see y'all soon. Doopsies.
So my exact routine for keeping my yarn braids in for 6 months is pretty low key, y'all. It's not much to it. The first step is when I install my hair, I make sure that I properly moisturize it before. Sometimes I use a protein treatment just to, strengthen my strands before installing. So I use the Renew protein treatments. And then I use the Supple twisting butter and Nourish moisturizing cream. I just massage it into my strands thoroughly so that it can absorb and moisturize. And actually, I'm gonna add that combo before I redo my edges. But those two products keep my hair moisturized, keep it fresh, keep it hydrated. And so that's what gives me the peace to not have to worry about my hair drying even after 6 months. Because if you see, let me show you now this is crazy right here. Let me show you the middle. So the edges I told y'all I do every 2 months, right? Well, the hair in the middle, I don't redo. So this, by the time I take the middle out, that's gonna be 6 months without it being redone. Let me see if you can see. So my middle looks like it's growing a little afro. It's like growing a little afro. But yeah, I'll show you what I do to that as well. But yeah, so I was saying I just make sure I moisturize. I do a protein treatment. I wash my hair really good. Just setting up a good foundation for the long-term protective style. And so I also make sure that I braid according to the density of my hair, which I was telling y'all about earlier. You see this braid right here? That is not a lot of yarn braid for this, like this little section of hair here. So you just want to make sure you do that as well. And then when I'm in maintenance mode, I use the Refresh conditioning spray, and I just spray it at the roots and then I spray it down the length of my braids. You want to make sure that you're getting all of your hair down the length. You can kind of see my hair down the length of the braids here. Let me see. Can you see that? You see how the shiny pieces is my hair in the yarn braids. And so whenever I'm spraying the spray, I just make sure to spray it from here all the way down to the root of my hair so that my hair can be moisturized. And then occasionally I would add the Invigorate sealing oil. So Invigorate is just a lightweight sealing oil that I put on, like I'll just take some, put it in my hand and just do like this after I spray with the moisturizing cream. And that way it's just kind of further sealing in that moisture. And so yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's how I have this piece to be able to keep a protective style for 6 months without worrying. Because I know y'all are probably thinking like, I could never. You like, what, 6 months? But I'm telling y'all, it is possible to do it with the proper routine. And another thing, I don't want this to be like I'm encouraging you to do 6 months. I guess I'm speaking to the people who have, question or wonder if it's possible, or somebody who may want to consider going more long term, right? So I'm not, trying to encourage you to do something that is not fitting in your routine. Like as I'm talking about this, you'll know if I'm talking to you and if this is something beneficial for you. If it's not, throw out what you don't need, keep what you do. And let's just keep it moving like that. But yeah, so that's the step 2 that I do during my yarn braids maintenance routine. And then I also add this elixir, this Blessed Strands elixir. This elixir is very good. It has a lot of herbs and nutrients in here to just massage into the scalp. You can do it as often as you want, but I think 2 to 3 times a week will 2 to 3 times a week will suffice. You just put a few drops in and massage it with your fingertips, and then that's it, and you're good to go. Yeah, and so that's why every 6 to 8 weeks is so crucial. I would say if you have finer strands and more on the shorter side, just because as your hair grow out, so like, I should have left one in, but as your hair grow out, right? You see how these are hanging on in the middle? This is how my edges were. The issue is once it get like that around the perimeter of your edges, that's when it's more likely that your hair can break because it's easier to snag and it's not like reinforced. That support is not reinforced to your scalp. And so it makes it a lot more, risky to have, the yarn hair like hanging off of your hair. And so that's why it's very important to redo them. And then also when it comes to buildup, I don't get a lot of buildup in these because I'm not using like a lot of product. I just use the refresher spray, the oils and things like that. But your edges and things like that, they're still gonna get buildup. That's inevitable. But that's why when you redo them, you have time to, 8 weeks to take them out, break up that buildup so it's not getting crazy. Because, I can only imagine If I would have left my edges in for 6 months, then those 6 months, when I take it down, it probably could be matted to where I have to, you know, I don't know, maybe cut it or something to get it out. So I wouldn't risk, that's why I wouldn't risk, you know, going along with the edges. Your edges are more exposed to a lot of the elements on the outside, the weather elements, your collar, your shirt, especially around your back. So when I say edges, I mean, I redo my front edges and I redo the back perimeter of my hair. And so, you know, just the natural elements and the rubbing and things like that can naturally, you know, make your hair more prone to dryness. So you definitely want to make sure you're moisturizing that more. But also, like I said, that's why it's just important to redo your perimeter. So redo your perimeter every 6 to 8 weeks. And then too, when I do my perimeter, it's like, hey girl, hey, I'm looking cute because it's fresh. It feels like I have a fresh set of yarn braids in my hair. And so that's what I love about it. And I'll show y'all in a little bit with the fresh set, okay? And then they kind of like lay over the back. So you never see the middle, you know, unless you were like to pull it out and say, here, look at this 4 month of new growth or something like that. But yeah, so that would be that's the other step in my routine. Okay, yeah, so I want to show you really quick how I do my yarn. Since my braids are so long, I take 2 chairs together. I just put 2 chairs together and then I wrap the yarn around the chair for however many times I need it. Since I'm only doing the edges, I don't need that much yarn. But if I was doing my whole head, I could use probably a half of this spool. I want to say it takes about a half a spool if you get like the large yarn spool. I think they have them in 2 sizes. But yeah, so this is how I do it. I just wrap it around, and then once I get it all the way around, I'll cut it at the end. So let me see. Yep, so then I'll cut it like right here in the middle, and then that's it. Okay, so this should be enough to redo my edges. So I just gather it up, taking my scissors and cut it down the middle, and boom, you got, wait, let me cut this piece at the end down here. And there you go, this is the yarn. So you just split it in half like this, and this is the length that I use. And then I would say the last tip, which I'm in between now and I'll be doing completely at month 6, but takedown. The takedown is just as important, y'all. When you're taking down your hair, any type of protective style, do not rush it. Don't get frustrated. Set aside time in your day, pre-plan, set aside like a Friday or Saturday or whatever works in your schedule, and dedicate that to your takedown. So do not rush it. Your takedown helps to prevent breakage when you're careful and you're not, you know, in a hurry with it. And so when you're taking down your hair, you can you can take this, saturate this in some oil, like take a yarn, you know, take a piece and saturate it from root to end, and then, you know, cut the end of the yarn. Make sure that you don't cut your hair, okay? Make sure. So listen, I just cut like down here because I think I took one of these out and I underestimated how long my hair was, and I actually cut the end of it. So just make sure you don't cut your hair. But once you saturate it with with oil, you're just gonna unravel your hair, and then as you're taking it down, this step is important too. You wanna take your fingers, just pull it apart, finger detangle, remove any shed hair, work your way up to the top, and then you want to take extra careful to break up any buildup that may be at the scalp, right, with the oil. And then once you get all that out, I usually add water first, further detangle, and then I'll add like my refresh conditioning spray to detangle, and make sure all the shed hair is gone before I add like water and conditioner and shampoo, because again, you do not want to cause matting. You don't want any scenario where you are, you know, setting your hair up for matting. And so the takedown is so important. Don't rush it. Take your time. Treat yourself to make it like a spa day, right? Talk to yourself, big yourself up. Tell yourself how proud you are of the week and the challenges and all the things that you have overcome. And while you're doing that, take down your hair. Like it's make it like it's just a one-on-one with you and your hair. Okay, that's what it is. That's what we're gonna call it. So my final thought I want to say about protective styles is that protective styles, they should be just that, protective, okay? And yarn braids, you know, they have been an amazing long-term option for me because, you know, they're lightweight, they're low maintenance, and they are easy on my strands. Like when it's done correctly, it's gonna be very easy on your strands, okay? So if you're thinking about trying this, I personally, obviously, highly recommend yarn twist, yarn braids. Just be mindful of your hair needs and what works for you, and then adjust accordingly, because like I said, everything is not gonna work for everybody. But if you love yarn braids, comment below and let me know. If you're considering trying yarn braids or something after this video, come in and let me know that too. And any other questions you have, comment and let me know. Okay, if you stay to the end, I'm gonna go ahead and show you a quick tutorial on how I redo my edges. So I'm adding the Nourish moisturizing cream to my edges now, and then I'm going to follow that up with the supple twisting butter. And so when I put it to my hair, it doesn't have to be massaged all the way in. I just make sure that it's thoroughly and fully saturated with the product. And then once I do that to each section, then I just proceed to braid. So I want to say for these, I use how many strands? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to say I use 5. We're about to see. But yeah, so you get your little 5 strands, and then you just put it in half like this. And let me get closer so you can see. And then, yeah, look at that, the middle. Oh my gosh. But anyway, so you take that, and then you just grab your hair, add the yarn, and then just proceed to braid it in. And then when you get halfway down, what I do, I go ahead and add my hair to like 3 pieces of the yarn. And then now I have three layers, or you know, 3 different ones, so that I can continue to braid down. Just because the longer you get, like the more you go down, like your hair, the density is gonna get like smaller and smaller. And so you just want to have equal parts so that you can proceed to continue to braid the braid all the way to the end, just matching it. Okay, so yep, about right there. So then I just tie it off. Just take 2 pieces of yarn, just rope it over in a little knot, and then I just tie it off, and then cut it and burn it in. That's it. This one is done. So now I'm gonna finish the rest and come back and show you how I look, because I'm gonna be looking so fresh and so clean. Hey, new edges. Who this? Okay. Oh y'all, I just finished the edges. I just redid the first layer, and this is how it looks. It looks like I have a fresh set of yarn braids if you don't look at this second row peeking through. If you want to make them even look more fresh, then you can do that. Absolutely do the second row. Look at all of that new growth. But yeah, so I think it's still decent enough depending on how I pull my hair up, but this first row is gonna have to do. So this is what it is. And I'll just do, I have the back perimeter to do as well, so I'll get around to doing that. But yeah, it's so fresh, it's so clean, it's so clean, it's so fresh. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. Keep the faith, bet on you, because God already did. Hey.